Well, this is kind of me dipping my toes into the water. So I've never really done this before. I thought, what of it? I can show my city, and you might enjoy it. Now what you're seeing right here, that's a church called Mexico Chapter. It roughly translates to Mexico Church. Now, myself, I'm an atheist, but I can enjoy some nice architecture every now and then, and some nice architecture that is. Let's take a walk around. Just taking in some of the ambience here, trying not to film people because there's this precarious situation in Austria right now. We got this law that says that every person out and about in the street is entitled to their own, privacy, which makes sense, and I want to honor that. But as you can imagine, that makes it very tough to live stream, film outside or anything. Now, there's a clause to that. If you are at a protest or something like that, a large, very public event, well, you're in a gray area. It's more common that people would film and take pictures and whatnot there. If you ask me, it's kind of weird because no matter what you do, you're supposed to have your privacy. But I don't know, that's how it goes every now and then. What can you do? I try to honor that. It's about showing the city, not necessarily people. I'm really into architecture, as you can imagine by those first few glimpses you've seen. And that's what we want to focus on here. So whenever you see me turning towards a very weird angle or, corner or something, you know what's up. That usually means that there's someone, crossing my path and I just don't have an identifiable look. And that's also why I'm out here in the dead of the night. The streets are pretty clear. There are a few cars going by and some solitary walkers like me, for instance. Just gave you a little look at the traffic lights here in Vienna. That's how they look. You usually have three lights. There's a green one, a red one, and that weird orange one. Now, if you're familiar with streams being recorded in New York, you'd notice a hand that is blinking, and that has a timer, or how, many seconds you still have to cross the street. That does not exist here. We just have red, orange, and green. And if whoever planned the whole structure here is merciful, the orange phase is pretty long. But usually that's not the case. nuh-uh. Trying not to be grumpy here, but it ain't always easy as a pedestrian. But we work with what we got. Alright. In case you're wondering, this is the second district of Vienna, called Leopoldstadt. Roughly translated, it means Leopold City. Yeah. Trying to let it focus. Over there, there's like a busy district, the 22nd. That's where the tall buildings are in Vienna. Chief among them, DC Tower. Now DC Tower, you really cannot see it today because of all the low fog going on. But we might get a little glimpse of the red lights penetrating the fog. That's the subway train you're hearing right now. That's a line called U1. It's an elevated line. Yeah, over there, if there weren't all this fog, you can see a tiny bit of it. But over there is DC Tower, the tallest building in Austria. 250 meters tall. That's about the height of 7 World Trade Center, if you're familiar with New York architecture. Also, you might have seen the building and the surrounding area in Marvel movies. Specifically, I'm talking about Captain America's Civil War and Black Panther. In both movies, are very short scenes that are taking place in Vienna. They were not actually filmed in Vienna, but the establishing shot you see is an actual shot of Vienna. And it was taken over there in the 22nd district. That's the scene in both movies that has taken place at the United Nations building. I don't think that's a spoiler if you haven't seen the movies, but in both movies there are scenes taking place in the Viennese headquarters of the United Nations. And yes, the United Nations headquarters are also over there. What I found astounding is, you know, how well they did with replicating the area. I mean, if you really know the area, you know, it was not filmed in Vienna. Of course, I mean, if you look at the indoor scenes, you can see it doesn't quite match up with what's going on down there, but it was convincing enough. And that's something, because if you know a thing or two about movies, it's really hard to replicate a place if you're not actually filming there. So, good on you, Russo brothers, and good on you, Ryan Coogler. You did well. Really well. Alright, that was a tangent right here. I just crossed the street, there's another park. I might go in there. It might get very dark in there because, as you can see, this isn't the best camera. This is just my phone, and it's kind of old. It's kind of old. It does the job, but it isn't exactly HD. Yeah. Let's walk for a little while. And try not to film any people. Because it's dark, you don't always see if someone's, turning the corner and walking into your picture. That's what we want to avoid here. As a photographer, I get this a lot. People, just see me taking pictures of something and they don't know I am not actually pointing a camera at them, but they assume I do. They just approach me and I'm like, hey, I don't want to be on that picture. I'm saying, no, I wasn't even close. Usually they see, yeah, alright, you weren't even close. So that's it right there. So yeah, there are some subtle red lights. Those dots you see, those belong to DC Tower. Just turn around. He's not here too. Just want to film the surroundings, not the people. It's not as dark as I thought it would be, which is a plus. There's no one sitting here, so we might have a glimpse. As you can see, there's a residential area right down there. Try to not walk into that one. Let's hop back again. As I said, it's kind of a test run. I don't know how this goes, how it will turn out, but we'll see. Also, just as a little piece of information, Vienna is not a dead city. It just looks that way right now because it's in the dead of the night and we're in the middle of a global pandemic and it's winter. Not a lot of people out there, but during the daytime you best believe it can get very crowded, which causes me anxiety every now and then, I gotta say, because not everyone's wearing a mask. And if it's outside, I don't mind that much. If people are keeping their distance and whatnot, that's perfectly okay. But not everyone does. But we'll do our best to, take care of ourselves and be the best possible version of ourselves we can be. So I am wearing a mask, even when outside, because you never know. That's how I do it. You see down there, right down there, that's one of the longest streets of Vienna. It's called Handelsquai, which roughly translates to trading bay, or trading harbor, trading docks, whatever you want to call it. Because back in the olden days, ships would come and bring all the cargo and all the goods. Nowadays it ain't ships anymore. There's a train track. Oh, on my queue, there's a small train pulling in right now. Let's give it a few seconds. Yes. It's not a cargo train, but you get the gist of it. Yes. So, these tracks are either testing tracks or tracks for trains that have to turn around and stuff like that. And those are cargo tracks as well. Every night, if you live in the area, you will hear cargo trains go by. At first it might be noisy, but as soon as you've gotten used to it, it's actually kind of tranquil and soothing. I don't know about you, but the sound of a train gently gliding by, that's something really nice to hear. Last time I stayed in New York, I was at this apartment in Lower Manhattan, and it was very close to Manhattan Bridge. It was in the area that intersects between Chinatown and the Lower East Side. And I had a very, very long flight to New York. I was stressed out because I love traveling, but the part I do not love about it is, you know, the getting from A to B part, you know, actually traveling, not getting there and enjoying yourself, but, you know, the whole mobility part, if you will, is really stressful for me. So I got there, I was sleep deprived, kind of nervous because it takes a toll on you. Gotta admit, those transatlantic flights, they do take a toll on you. And I got there, put down my stuff in my room, and I just heard the sounds of the subway crossing Manhattan Bridge, and I felt at home. That was my lullaby. And it was wonderful. Yeah, you see just a tiny bit right in the center of the frame. There's a row of windows that are illuminated. They belong to DC Tower. I might return another day when it's not so foggy, so you might have a better look. I know I'm going on and rambling on and on and on, but that's alright. I need to get accustomed to that. I used to be a very shy person. I'm still very introverted. Because there's a difference. A lot of people don't know there's a difference. But yeah, I'm still introverted. There's no still, because either you are or you're not. But I worked a bit on the shy part. You know, if I can actually focus all my attention and creativity on a certain project and something I want to accomplish, I can work it out with the shy part. I can be actually very, you know, confident about something. I proved that to myself when I was on stage. Used to have a music project with which I performed, and I loved it. I loved being on stage. It was nice because I could actually, you know, gather all my energy and put it into something I really liked. Being introverted doesn't mean you don't put yourself out there every now and then. It just means you are very selective about it. And just because I don't always talk a lot about things doesn't mean I never do. As you can clearly hear right now, I just need those moments of reflection afterwards. You know, after I socialize, I need a day of cooling down and, you know, gathering my thoughts and whatnot. Just, you know, to be able to put out all that energy again. And that's what it's about. Went off on another tangent here, but that's okay. So, yeah. I apologize for the shitty quality. As I said, this phone is very old. Well, not very old, but it's not the most upscale phone out there. I don't have a gimbal. I thought, what of it? I walk a lot in my city, I get quite some mileage. I might as well show it around every now and then. Put my thoughts out there. So even though it might look like I'm a drunken sailor and I'm wobbling around, I can assure you that's just a phone. And me not owning a gimbal. But what of it? That's a bit rough around the edges. But I'm trying to do something here. I hope you enjoy it. The 2 or maybe 3 of you, I'm sure. I like doing things like that. Being out in the fresh air, taking a walk. That's a nice thing to do. Alright, I'm heading through the park and I'm gonna end it soon. Just wanted to give you a nice glimpse of everything in this area. It's the 2nd district of Vienna. Leopoldstadt, Leopold City. If you like what you see, even though it's kind of rough around the edges, you may consider subscribing. You know, can't hurt. It's another glimpse of Mexico Church. No, it's grainy beauty. The funny thing is, a lot of people, when they think about Vienna, they only think about the 1st district, which is a very, very tiny district. Excuse me, I just had something in my throat. Alright, it's gone now. Which is a very tiny district. And yeah, I mean, most of the very famous landmarks are there. You know, Stephansdom. It's think Stephen's Chapel, or Stephen's Cathedral. I think it's Stephen's Cathedral that it is, which is pretty much, you know, synonymous with landmarks of Vienna. That's in the first district, and the Opera House and yada yada yada. A lot of famous things are in the first district, but this town has 23 districts. 23. And each and every one of them has nice things to see. This year is the second district, which, in my opinion, is in no way inferior to the first. I mean, the second district has got so much culture and so, you know, so many great buildings and architecture and all of that. It really pays to pay this district a visit, and all the others as well. That's what I'm trying to get across here. Is it right if I show this area from a distance? The funny thing is, I saw a bunny rabbit cross my path earlier in this park. Because on this island, which is the 2nd and the 20th district, both of them are an island. On this island there are a lot of rabbits and bunnies, mostly around the Danube River on the promenade. So could you say essentially this is Coney Island? I don't know, you decide. I know, my puns are terrible, but you gotta try every now and then. Alright, so I'm gonna stop it here. I hope the 2 or maybe 3 of you who watched this enjoyed it a lot and got something out of this. If you did, that makes me happy, and it might have made you happy, I don't know. But here it goes. That was my first try. It was almost half an hour. Wow. I wish you all a good one. Have a great night, and keep watching the stars. Over and out. So a little addendum. After I finished recording, I saw there was a bunny in the grass. You can't see it. Over there. It's running right now. There you go. That was a bunny. Alright. Over and out for real now.